have gone to war with its neighbor in the 21st century? This question has puzzled millions worldwide, and today we'll explore the historical, political, and strategic reasons behind the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Let's uncover the roots of this complex crisis and understand why it matters to us all. Ukraine and Russia share deep historical ties, going back to the 9th century with Kievan Rus, a medieval state often considered the cradle of Russian, Ukrainian, and Belarusian culture. However, over centuries, Ukraine found itself under the rule of various empires. During the Soviet era, Ukraine was a crucial part of the USSR, contributing significantly to its economy and military strength. But with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine declared independence, marking a significant geopolitical loss for Russia. In exchange for giving up its nuclear weapons, the third largest arsenal in the world at the time, Ukraine received security assurances from Russia, the US, and the UK. But these promises were put to the test in the years that followed. NATO began its eastward expansion, incorporating former Soviet-aligned states such as Poland and the Baltic countries. This was perceived as a threat by Russia. Ukraine's expressed desire to join NATO only heightened tensions, as Moscow saw this as a direct challenge to its security. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea, claiming it was protecting the rights of ethnic Russians living there. This move followed the Euromaidan protests in Ukraine, which led to the ousting of the pro-Russian president, Viktor Yanukovych. This act violated international law, leading to widespread condemnation and sanctions against Russia. In the same year, separatist movements erupted in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk and Luhansk regions, areas with significant Russian-speaking populations. Backed by Moscow, these regions declared independence, leading to a prolonged conflict. The Minsk agreements, aimed at resolving the issue, failed to bring lasting peace. Ukraine's geographic position makes it a critical transit route for Russian gas exports to Europe. Controlling Ukraine means influencing Europe's energy supply, a strategic advantage for Russia. Since the Soviet Union's collapse, Russia has sought to maintain dominance over former Soviet states. Losing Ukraine, one of the most populous and resource-rich states, to Western influence was unacceptable to Moscow. Western nations have supported Ukraine through economic aid and military assistance while imposing sanctions on Russia. This support, however, has further strained relations between Russia and the West. Over the years, Ukraine's increasing alignment with NATO and the EU escalated Russian concerns. In early 2022, Russia demanded security guarantees, including Ukraine's neutrality, but negotiations failed. Russian President Vladimir Putin framed the invasion as an act of denazification and a defense against Western aggression. He also claimed Ukraine was historically part of Russia, denying its sovereignty as a nation. The war disrupted energy markets, contributing to skyrocketing gas prices and inflation worldwide. Food supply chains were also affected, as Ukraine and Russia are major grain exporters. The conflict has caused immense suffering, with millions of Ukrainians displaced and thousands of civilians killed. The war has created one of the worst refugee crises in recent history. The conflict has reshaped global alliances, with nations like China and India navigating a complex balance between Russia and the West. The Russia-Ukraine conflict is a product of centuries-old history, conflicting geopolitical goals and strategic calculations. While the reasons are complex, one thing is clear: its impact extends far beyond the borders of these two nations.